video, we're going to be talking about the Teachability Index. But before I get into breaking down that equation, I want to let you know what being teachable and coachable is. So you have just enrolled into this mentorship program. In order for you to have success in your life, in order for you to really maximize this program, you have to be teachable. You have to be coachable. You have to be mentorable. I don't know if mentorable is your word. I think I just invented it. But because you're in this mentorship program, you are now classified as a mentee. So you have to be mentorable, which means that you are willing to give up going out on a Friday or Saturday night in order to grasp this information, in order to transform your life. That means that you are now a sponge, willing to absorb all the information that is provided in this mentorship program. That means that you are a butterfly ready to transform into the next level or the next chapter of your life. So if you are teachable, if you are mentorable, if you are coachable, then absolutely you have reached the prerequisite for this program. So let's get into what the Teachability Index is so that you'll be able to self-analyze and understand and comprehend what your scoring factor is in the Teachability Index. So what is a Teachability Index? It is a score from 0 to 100, and it lets you know how teachable you are, which equates to how open-minded you are. Okay, so there are two variables in this equation that lets us determine your absolute score. The first variable in this equation is your willingness to learn. So what is entailed in the willingness to learn? Your willingness to learn is you are gathering information, you are listening to the videos in this mentorship, and you are registering this information as yes, it's true, yes, it's factual, or yes, these steps do work. That is you having a high willingness to learn and being open-minded. On the contrary, if you are gathering information and you are negating that the information is true or the information is accurate, or you are pretty much telling yourself, hey, I already know this information, I don't have anything else to learn here, let me skip this video, then that means that you are actually closed-minded. You feel like you know everything and know all the information, and that you have nothing else that you need to learn, and your willingness to learn is actually low. You're at like a 0 or a 1. Okay, so when it comes to willingness to learn, you also have to have good habits and behavior traits. Okay, so you have to be willing to give up your hobby. You have to be willing to sacrifice time with friends and family. You have to be willing to turn off the television and log into the portal in order to see the information that you are learning and that's actually going to transform your life. So that is a willingness to learn. You're willing to seek the information. And once you register the information, you actually want to do further research. Okay, because we always not only want to depend on one source for an information, but you want to get multiple different sources that are providing pretty much the same information so that you can gather that information as factual and true. So that is your willingness to learn. I am a sponge. I am absorbing all of this information. This information is either 100% true and I believe it, or it's probable and I'm going to do further research into believing it and understanding it. So that is your willingness to learn, and that is the first variable in this equation. The second variable in this equation is your willingness to accept change. So right now you are going through a transformation. You are trying to get to the next level in your life. You're trying to get to success at an exponential rate. So your willingness to change needs to be undeniably open and acceptable. So what does that mean? What is your willingness to change? Your willingness to change means I am going to sacrifice the Friday nights with my friends. I am going to learn this information and do all of the assignments for every single week. I am going to write out the letters, recreate my morning routine, recreate my night routine. I am going to do whatever it needs to do. I am going to do whatever it takes in order to see transformation in my life, in order to change. There's a famous quote, and it says, if you want things in your life to change, you have to change the things in your life. That quote is an absolute no-brainer. If you want success, you have to wake up an hour early. You have to wake up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. You have to do the things that make you uncomfortable. You have to do the things that are unordinary. You have to do the things that other people are not willing to do. Okay? If you want to see change in your life, you have to change the things in your life. Some of the things that you have to change in your life is your habits. If you have bad habits, let's say smoking, drinking alcohol, let's say going to sleep late, let's say not exercising, bad habits, correct? Or even eating habits, right? Anything. You have to change those habits, okay? You have to transition or trade in those challenging habits for success habits, for better habits, habits that are going to improve your life and your lifestyle. So you have to change your habits and you have to change your actions, the actions that you take and the actions that you don't take. So you want to take action. You want to make decisions promptly and change them very subtly or very slowly. You want to make sure that these actions that you're taking are going to further your success. So the actions have to be a part of a plan, and this plan needs to be structured properly. So these are actions that you may not want to take, but you have to take them, and it's a part of change. You have to want to change your emotions. So sometimes we're happy, sad, we are up and down like a roller coaster. And when it comes to building your success, you have to be one, feeling bliss, feeling joy, and feeling happy at all times. Even if you do not want to feel that way, or even if you don't feel that way at that time, you have to trick yourself. It's very, very, very important. Okay, so let's say that you're feeling down. You have to change your emotion. So what can you do? You can smile. So internally I'm feeling down, but externally I'm smiling, and because I'm smiling, there's a chemical reaction going on in my brain that's telling me, hey, I feel better. I'm uplifted. I'm okay. So change those emotions that you have. That is a part of the equation. Changing your emotions. And lastly, changing the way you think. So thinking positive, thinking negative. those are two very critical components. Okay, one is that you have to always be thinking positive at all times. And two is that you have to be aware of when you're thinking negative. So you have to be able to switch your thinking to constantly thinking positive at all times. If you are in full awareness and know that you are thinking negatively constantly, or you're a quote unquote negative thinker, then you have to be willing to change the way you think. You have to be willing to put more positivity in your mind and take the actions necessary in order to not think negative. For example, do not expose yourself to negativity by watching the news, listening to negative things on the radio, or listening to music that is not going to stimulate you properly, that's actually going to make you feel less than, or make you feel as if you need to use profanity or live a certain kind of way. So you have to be empowered enough to say, no, I'm not going to watch the news. All they're talking about is this pandemic and this virus and a recession coming and a housing crash or a stock crash, or what other countries are doing, and all of these malicious things. So you have to be empowered and say, hey, I'm going to change that one thing. Instead of watching the news on a daily basis, I'm going to cut the news out. Instead of listening to very provocative music, or music that is not going to, develop you in any kind of way personally, then instead of listening to that, I'm going to listen to an audiobook. I'm going to listen to a podcast. I'm going to listen to something that's actually going to be educational. Okay, so you have to be willing to change the way you think, and changing the way you think also requires action behind it. We've just discussed the two variables that make up the teachability index. One is a willingness to learn. The second one is a willingness to accept change. Both of those variables need to be scored on a 0 to 10 scale. So take a moment to think and do some internal searching, and to really, really, really put in some effort to score yourself honestly and thoroughly. The question is, what is your willingness to learn on a scale from 0 to 10? 0 meaning I do not want to learn anything new. I know what I know. I'm a know-it-all and I don't have to learn. And 10 meaning I do not know nothing. I am a student. I am a sponge willing to absorb all this information, and I actually want to do further research and know more and more and more about this topic. So what would you score yourself now from 0 to 10? And you could be in the middle. You could be at a 5. You could be at a 50-50. I'm halfway where I'm a know-it-all, and I'm halfway where I want to know more. And if that is where you at right now, then rate yourself at a 5. Next, what is your willingness to accept change from a scale from 0 to 10? 0 meaning I accept all of my bad habits and I love them, and I just want to stay the way I am. I want to stay the same. I want to live in the same place, drive the same car, and work in the same job. I want to be the same. I do not want to change, and I don't want anyone to change me, and I don't want to do anything extra. Or a 10, meaning I want more. I want growth. I want transformation. I want abundance. I want total 360. That is what I want. And if that is where you're at, where you're willing to do anything that you need to do change any habit, drop anything, add anything, then you're at a 10. And you can be in the middle. You can be at a 5, where you're both, where you're like, hey, I would like to change the way I think and my emotions, but I don't want to change these habits. I like smoking and drinking on the weekends, or I like not exercising. If that is you, rate yourself at a 5, where you're in the middle, where you're half and half. And that is okay. So now, the way this equation is, you rate yourself for a willingness to learn, whatever number that is. If it's a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's say that you're at a 9. And then you rate yourself for a willingness to accept change. Let's say that you're also at a 9. 9 times 9 is 81. So at this point in time, your teachability index is 81%. 81% from 0% to 100%. In this program, we want you to be teachable. So ideally, we want you to be anywhere between 80 to 100%. That means that, yes, I am a work in progress, but I'm also willing to put in the work. I know that I have tasks that I need to do. I know that I have to change. And I know that there's things that I do not know. I know that I don't know everything. So if that is you, if you're between an 80 to 100%, then you are our ideal mentee, and your teachability index is high enough in order for you to see change and transformation and